Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate, and welcome back to another weather forecast discussion, this time for June 14th, 2022. Now, we do have some weather that we do need to talk about, as it has been abnormally hot across the board. Very moist, high heat indexes across the board into portions of practically the central and eastern United States. Now, will that alleviate, as well as what significant weather could follow in behind that? Well, we might as well take a look at it here. And the best way to do it is by taking a look at our simulated radar here from the North American model. If you want to keep up to date with the time, it is above me in Eastern Daylight Time. But as of right now, we got a plethora amount of showers and thunderstorms that are expected to move on through much of the United States this evening. You can see that more and more showers and thunderstorms actually begin to develop over here across the central United States into the Midwest. And we also have some lingering showers and thunderstorms that are going to continue to move on through across the eastern portions of the United States. As this continues to progress, however, into early tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon, we're going to start to see a bit of an uptrend with some of these showers and thunderstorms over here along the Mississippi River, along the border of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois, as the threat for tornadoes is possible within that area. And as a matter of fact, we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather for tomorrow. That would be June 15th, 2022, with a 10% chance of tornadoes and a 10% significant chance for tornadoes on top of that. So we got to keep in mind as to what's going on through. Let's actually zoom in here to see what exactly happens. You can see how these showers and thunderstorms start to really kind of push on through in the early morning hours. We kind of have a bit of a wave of thunderstorms that move on through, but this isn't the main threat for your significant tornadoes. What will actually happen is once we get into the early afternoon hours, sometime around the noon to 1 o'clock general time frame, there's going to be a developing cold front that's going to move on through, and you can see within that line there are some areas of these kind of pinks and purples as well as reds. Those are individualized supercells, discrete supercells within the line that are going to move on through. You can see how this one actually becomes very prominent across the board. You also have some other showers and thunderstorms that are semi-discrete, so still favorable for tornadoes and stuff like that as it continues to progress off towards the north and east. So if you are over here in extreme southeastern Minnesota, if you are over into central portions of Wisconsin, even into the northern and eastern portions of Wisconsin, and if you are in northeastern portions of the general area of Iowa, I would highly recommend watching for some severe weather tomorrow. I will actually be live throughout this event talking about where the significant tornadoes could potentially be, if there are some, as well as who could potentially be in the path of that. So if you want any updates in regards to live weather and what's going on, please feel free to come back to the channel, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Now, as this continues to progress on through, you'll see that this is going to start to kind of form a bit more into a kind of congealed line. You see you have a lot of these thunderstorms that are now starting to kind of congeal together, and that'll be more of a damaging wind threat. Once we get towards the evening hours, when it starts to get into dusk, things will start to kind of transition from a tornado threat over to a strong damaging wind threat. So areas over like Green Bay, they're going to definitely see some strong damaging winds. The potential for tornadoes is possible there too. And then you can also see the line also extends all the way down to portions of northern Missouri into eastern Kansas. So if you guys are over there, I would watch out for the potential of some large hail and strong damaging winds within that threat. But definitely one of those things to where this is a threat for tornadoes as this continues to move on through. You can see the moisture being transported all the way north from the Gulf of Mexico. Look at how moist these dew points are across the board. From the Gulf of Mexico all the way up towards the US-Canada border, we have widespread upper 60 to 70 degree dew points here, which is very, very moist. And as a matter of fact, the main reason for all this happening is you can see our 850 millibar low-level jets. This is about 1 kilometer above ground level. We have a steady streamline of strong winds aloft that are pulling this moisture in the Gulf of Mexico and bringing it up into some of these areas. That's the reason why it's so moist right now. And it is aided by a high pressure system over in the southeast. So the high pressure is creating clockwise flow, and then this low pressure system, we actually have a surface low over here and then a upper level low up into portions of the Canadian prairies. This is creating counterclockwise flow. So aided by both of that flow, where it's kind of becoming parallel with each other, we have a steady streamline of wind shear here at the lower levels that is picking up that moisture, and it is actually progressing further and further north and east. And if we actually look a little bit higher up in the atmosphere at our 700 millibar wind shear, which is about 3 kilometers above ground level, you can see that the wind shear here is actually stronger, and it's very consistent here as this continues to move on through. Some wind shear values in upwards of 70 to almost 80 knots possible, which is pretty strong for some of these showers and thunderstorms, especially as we continue to progress overnight. So it's definitely going to be one of those things for how this environment interacts with each other. And if we actually take a look at the convective available potential energy, so we looked at the wind shear aspect, which creates all your strong damaging winds and your vorticity for tornadoes. We are now taking a look at the energy aspect. All right, is there enough energy for these thunderstorms to form or sustain? And we typically want to see from the greens and higher in order for you to actually get sustainable showers and thunderstorms. And I mean, if we take a look over here in towards portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota as well as Iowa, I mean, we're in the reds. We are in the reds, and that is about double the amount of what you typically would want. So you have a plethora amount of energy for these thunderstorms to continue to form or sustain. And that's the big thing here. We have the energy, we have the wind shear. Can the things come together? Now, we noted that because there's a lot of energy over here, let's try and consolidate a little bit more to define what is vorticity. And basically what we're looking at here is this is vorticity that is favorable for tornadoes to form into. And so, of course, the higher the vorticity, the better the environment with its wind shear and all sorts of stuff like that. We call this helicity, or storm relative helicity to be specific. And we want to try and find a parallel to where you have good storm relative helicity as well as high values of CAPE. And if you find both of those, then it's in a very good environment for thunderstorms to either form, sustain, and even produce a tornado. So here into the early afternoon hours, along that cold front that we were mentioning, we still have a little bit of wind shear that is going about, and this continues to expand. You see how our storm relative helicity actually expands throughout this given environment, which means that this is pretty favorable for tornadoes to form within this general area. So the big thing to watch here, in my honest opinion, would have to be central and northern Wisconsin, as well as into portions of western Michigan, specifically northwestern Michigan. That would probably be the area to watch as this continues to move on through. And you see the helicity continues to linger even as we get to the dusk hours. Now, the helicity will begin to increase, but that's only because as you get further and further into the nighttime hours, the wind shear actually increases. But actually, on contrary to that, that's also where the wind shear becomes more favorable for a linear mode, so a bit more of a strong damaging wind risk. So the real timetable that we're going to want to look out for this is going to be the early afternoon, sometime around 1 Central, all the way up to about 6 or 7 Central. Right around that time frame is when we're going to have our window of opportunity for tornadoes to form. Now, along with that, we also have something really interesting here. We notice that we have our cold front, all right? You can tell because you have a lot of warm, moist temperatures over on the eastern side of that drop-off, and then on the western side of the drop-off, we have some relatively cool temperatures in the 60s. So this is our cold front here that's going to start to try and develop, but if you pay attention just a little bit more, you see how this cold front kind of just shifts off a little bit, just like that. It kind of curls off to the east. And that's your warm front, believe it or not. Your warm front is actually right there, and that's where some areas of vorticity could actually exist too. So if you have a storm that kind of rides that warm front, it'll have enough energy for it to put down something as well. And that's kind of the reason why I'm pretty concerned about central portions of Wisconsin as you head up, especially into the western portions of Michigan. You know, that's going to be the area to really watch, in my honest opinion. Unfortunately, there aren't really as many good radars within that area. The closest radar to talk about all this stuff is over in Green Bay. And then the other radars, you have one over in Twin Cities. You have another one over down near La Crosse. And then you have another one over near Milwaukee and Madison, as well as one also further into portions of central, northern Michigan. So, I mean, you don't really have a whole lot of good coverage for these storms, and radar analysis may not truly be the best, but that's going to be one of those things to where if we can try and get this information out ahead of time, we may not need to do a whole lot of radar analysis if people can get prepared. So that's the big thing here I'm trying to get out to you all. I would highly recommend being prepared as this continues to move on through. And expect there to be some form of showers and thunderstorms. I'm not saying every single thunderstorm is going to produce a tornado. However, I will note that it is in an environment favorable for tornadoes, and so you need to have a plan of action. If you're under a tornado warning, get underground or get into your lowest and innermost part of your building, particularly a bathroom or a closet with no windows, so you can put as many walls between yourself and the tornadic rotation as possible. If you are in a mobile home, please be sure to have a plan of action to get into a sturdy structure. So if you have a friend that has an apartment building or an actual bolted house, anchored house, then I would highly recommend getting in contact with them. Say, hey, can I ride the system out with you all? Some way, some sort of you being able to get into a sturdy structure. That would be the best case scenario, because mobile homes, if they do get impacted, they will not survive tornadoes. So that's the big thing here to take away from this. Now, as this continues to progress, we also have another area of severe weather possible over down in the southeast. Portions of Georgia, Alabama, and northern Florida could actually get some lingering showers and thunderstorms, some strong damaging winds within that area. So I would watch out for that too. And then the actual complex of showers and thunderstorms that move off through Wisconsin into Lake Michigan will actually impact portions of central and northern Michigan as well, as that continues to move off into the overnight hours. Now, after that, there actually is a new line of showers and thunderstorms that will begin to develop on Thursday. We actually have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, or a slight risk, for portions of the Great Lakes, specifically near Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, as well as areas further down towards the northern mid-Atlantic. So if you guys know anyone who lives in those areas, I would highly recommend telling them that there could potentially be some strong damaging winds, because if we actually zoom into this, well, I mean, you can already see there's a big line, but here we go. You can kind of see how this all develops. I mean, big line that starts to form over here near Buffalo, all the way down to Erie, and maybe even portions of Cleveland, down to Youngstown and stuff like that. They can see a big line that extends. Then portions of Syracuse gets into the activity, as well as down towards Wheeling, Pittsburgh, all the way over to State College, Pennsylvania, and then even further and further down. Portions of Harrisburg could even get into the activity as well as portions of Morgantown, West Virginia. So if you guys live within those areas, I highly recommend watching out for some severe weather, some strong damaging winds, spotty hail. Can't rule out a threat for a tornado or two, but I would say this is more of a strong damaging wind risk more than anything. So that would be something to note, but it is very obnoxious, especially as this continues to move on through into the rush hour time frame for Pittsburgh. Of course, Syracuse and Buffalo, they're going to get a lot of weather around that general area. So I would watch out for that for sure. Now, last but not least, I also want to talk about our tropical update, as the tropics are starting to come here now, and they're starting to kind of alive itself. And here we go. We have another disturbance over here across portions of Central America, where there is a 40% chance of development over the next 5 days. It's going to be really interesting as to how this thing continues to move on through and kind of interacts with some of the other activity that's over in towards the Eastern Pacific. But regardless, something to watch out for if you're in Central America, and maybe even the southern portions of Texas. If this thing does somehow get into the Gulf of Mexico, it more than likely will be flung out to the west. And we'll actually see that here in the weather models. So down here is our area to watch. We have a tropical system over in the Pacific. That doesn't seem to be impacting too many people. So let's just kind of go on through, see what the GFS says. And oh, okay, something interesting over there near the Yucatan. And then something over the Bay of Campeche, something over there that tries to develop. But you also notice how it gets slung out to the west. And that's because, according to the GFS, there's another storm that tries to develop over on the opposite side on the Pacific. And that is going to kind of interact with this other system. They're going to kind of do the tango, if you will, and not really let go of each other, more or less. So the GFS doesn't really foresee that storm to do too much within that, but still something interesting, maybe the potential of a tropical development. If the system over in the Pacific doesn't form, we could potentially see this low pressure system be kind of let go, and it'll allow itself to kind of have free roam over here, and more than likely head to the west because of that high pressure system that we talked about earlier on the video being over here into the southeast. Remember, this high pressure system is creating a lot of clockwise flow. It kind of steers a lot of the activity, and if it's still there, then it's going to actually steer that low pressure system more and more to the west. So, at minimum, southern portions of Texas could be impacted, but I really think it's going to be more of a issue over here for areas around the Bay of Campeche in Mexico. So that'll be just something to note here for the most part. But as of right now, not really too much for us to really note with in the GFS. And just for curiosity's sake, we'll take a look at the Euro model to see if it has anything different. Looking here towards the time period of it, actually doing stuff. There's your system in the Pacific. It does things, but the stuff in the Atlantic, into the Caribbean and the Bay of Campeche, doesn't really look all too favorable for stuff to be tropical. So that's kind of what we got at the moment. Not really too much with the tropics. It's that time of year to where it's kind of at a lull period, but who knows? At any point could the weather just flip on a dime, and that's what we're going to be here for. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social media. Link will be in the description down below. Got a bunch of social media stuffs, and got a Discord server down in the description down below. I'd be greatly appreciated if you guys join the Discord server. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me there as well. And I will be live tomorrow. So once again, please be sure to turn on notifications on this channel so that way you guys may be able to stay up to date with what all may be happening in the weather tomorrow. So once again, my name is Nate, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.